Welcome to Live in the Hive. I'm Michelle Eagleton, and you're watching the only online magazine show dedicated to theatre across Greater Manchester. And if you've ever seen the show before, you might be thinking, oh, it looks a little bit different. And that's because I've decided to film it in the Greater Manchester sunshine. The sun is out, guys. Spring looks like it is finally here, and don't we just need it. I'm hoping to bring more sunshine into your lives over the next half an hour. We've got some great guests lined up on the show. We have got these guys joining us. We've got Jodie McNee and Will Ash, and they are currently starring in the Royal Exchange production of Nora, A Doll's House. And if that wasn't enough, we have got puppetry designer and director Toby Olie, and he is going to be telling us all about Animal Farm, which is coming to the Lowry next week. Plus, if you're a fan of Peaky Blinders and you like your dance, the Rambert Dance Company will be playing us out of the show with a brilliant sneaky peek of their production, which is coming later this year. Oh, it's all so exciting. So you know where to stay. Stay here with Live in the Hive. But firstly, we are going to be joining the stars of Nora, A Doll's House, Will and Jodie. I caught up with them earlier this week, and one of the first things I had to ask is what it is like is starring in this adaptation by Steph Smith. Here's what they had to say.
When I first read it, I was saying this to a friend the other day. When I first read it, I knew it was a really, really good play. And then when we started kind of working on it and pulling it apart and everything, you kind of think it's incredible what she's done with it, how she's kind of maintained that overall art, but put it into them three different eras is really exciting. I was dead excited when I first got the script for it. So it's a thrill. It's a thrill to be back at the Royal Exchange, and it's a thrill in particular to be doing this play.
Oh, it is. It's amazing to watch it unfold on stage. And you just mentioned there, because for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, you know, you've got time. It's until the 2nd of April. But there's not just one Nora. There's three Noras. And Jodie, you're playing one of the Noras, 1968 Nora, because there's 1918, 1968, and 2018. So tell us how this kind of weaves together.
So it spans the 100 years between three women, and they're very different women, but they're all called Nora, and they all have uniting factors through their lives. They're all married to Thomas, and they all live in this house and have three children. So there's lots of things that connect them. It's not really like sharing a part because they're so different, but it's sometimes when we speak the text, the text interweaves between all three of us. So it's a bit like we're one mind and we're speaking as one sometimes.
It's incredibly clever, the way that happens on stage. And for me, as an audience member watching it, I was like transfixed thinking, how as an actress do you do this? Because some of these scenes are so fast paced. There's one particular one where you're kind of all following each other and talking to each other as a Nora, and then taking on another role as Nora's best friend, Christine. And my head's going, boom. What's yours like?
Well, because basically we rehearsed that with the kind of choreography, kind of like a dance. So it became a bit more simple once we got up and did it. Like when I read it, I was like, how are we going to do this? Like, I just don't know how we're going to go from one character to the next so quickly. But actually, once we got up on our feet, it started to kind of show itself to us and become more clear and quite simple. The simpler we were with this play, the more the story shone. We've all found.
It is amazing. It really is. And, you know, Will, you get to be husband to three women here on stage, but it's not a fun kind of thing, really, to be the husband to those three women, because they're all going through their own things. They've all got secrets. And there is a few moments in the audience where I was having a bit of giggle, and, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, but you really have got to hold your own with these and kind of define your character as Thomas.
Shifting through those three eras is when we first started rehearsing it, I really struggled with doing that, kind of making those shifts and trying to remember. Do you remember there was one time, Jodie, where I think, because they're all on, the three Noras are all on stage all the time, and there was one point where I was talking to Nora 1, who's played by Yushra, but then I started addressing you, Jodie, in the scene. It was so kind of, you really have to kind of get it fixed into your head where you are. But once we've done that in rehearsals, again, because of the writing, because if you kind of fall back onto how good the writing is and keep it simple, try and simplify it as much as you can, it really comes alive there. So it started to feel a lot easier, but initially it was a real struggle. Yeah.
I mean, this is a play that it was done in 1879. It's almost 150 years old. So to bring it now to kind of those different eras, do you feel that, it like I said at the start, it brings the relevance of issues today with what Steph's doing, Jodie? Oh,
yeah. Like, yeah, I've like the responses have been really positive. A lot of women who've come to see it, I've like the words empowered or it's sparked lots of conversations that might not have come up, so it is really sadly relevant.
150 years ago, when this was first performed, this play, the original play, caused a lot of scandal, especially at the end. And I think what Bryony has done is so clever, your director. It's like this web tangles all the way around you, and then I'm not going to spoil the end, but you're just kind of left with this image and this feeling at the end, which is like really, really powerful. So I loved it. In terms of the staging, was there a lot of, like you say, rehearsal and choreography that went on to kind of get that feeling, Jodie?
Yeah, well, we had movement director Raki, and she was brilliant with us. Like, and from the get-go, we were physical. We were doing physical work on it, because I think it was really important that we got it in our body, and that it was, these, because we're both all playing two different women. So all of us are playing both Christine and Nora. So that was important to kind of get that difference in our bodies. I think Bryony understands this stage so well, this theatre so well, and she allows us to kind of explore and create and collaborate. It's been a real collaboration, this ensemble work that we've been doing all together. So she gets it. She knows this theatre, it's in the round and there's nowhere to hide, and you have to be so truthful in the space. So, because everyone can see everything, there's nowhere to no tricks. You can't do any tricks.
But both of you love the Royal Exchange, because you both have performed a number of times on that stage. What is so special about it? Is it the fact that, it's that challenge of everybody kind of seeing you on show and playing to that?
Yeah. And the connection with people, like you instantly feel connected. It's not like audience stage. It's not like there's no separation. There's like, it just feels like everyone's part of the space, because you're kind of encompassed in that incredible building in a building.
I've got to say, that is the only place where I have felt myself wanting to get up off the seat and join in the action. I have to sit on my hands. If I go on one of the banquettes, I'm like that, sat on my hands thinking, don't get up. Don't get up, you're going to spoil it. I mean, God knows what I would have done. Maybe ran onto the stage when you were in the middle of your Tarantella-esque dance and got up there and started bopping away with it, But Will, does it hold that magic for you? Because I know, again, you've performed on Royal Exchange a number of times.
Yeah, because that was the first theatre. Well, I'd been to see pantomimes when I was a kid. That was the first theatre where I saw real proper like plays, going to see from school. So we always used to do school trips there. So to the first time I ever worked there, it was a massive thrill. I mean, I've not been here. I did a play in the studio 8 years ago, and then before that, I think it was about like 12 years ago. So to get to play there again is amazing. Fantastic.
So has it been 8 years since you've been off stage then now?
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that though, because everybody was kind of not doing anything for nearly 2 years. Yeah. It doesn't feel as long as that. It might look like that when you come to watch the play, but it's 8 years. 8 years.
Has this whet your appetite to do some more then? Because I know that you've done a lot of telly prior to this, over the past couple of years, but stage, has it still got that buzz? Because it's that instant reaction,
There's that, I mean, there's absolutely that, and the fear of overcoming that fear, because you're kind of working, you're working so intensely on getting to that, do the first performance of it. It's kind of all kind of focused towards that, but also the rehearsal process. I love being in a rehearsal room for like 4 or 5 weeks with loads of other creative people who are really passionate about a piece of work, and you're all kind of collaborating and throwing ideas around and trying things, different choices, which you certainly don't get that on television, because it's just by its nature, it's so much quicker, so that you can just try loads of different ways of playing things before you settle on something. And I love that. I love the fact that it's nothing ever is set in stone really with the performance, because we're always on stage kind of playing with each other, and it feels so really, really playful. So I'd love to do another play. Love to. Yeah.
And Jodie, we talked then about kind of like you all being on stage for the majority of that. I mean, you and the Noras are on stage the whole time. How do you wind down after the show? I mean, both of you, I said that, there are some moments where, we smile along with you, but it's an intense play, right? How do you switch off, especially when it's a matinee and an evening?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it's always brilliant if you've got people in, because you can then like talk through it with people. And we're quite a tight company, so like we're all like really supportive of each other and stuff. So it's really you can talk. You know what I mean? You don't feel like you can't. You can just go and. I mean, also I'm always starving after the show, so I like literally like shove food into my face. So yeah, there's that. I wind down by like eating a massive meal.
So that's where we're going to find you. Okay. So in between shows, you'll be, around Manchester having a bite to eat in the Rivals or something. Is that the same for you, Will? Do you go to Subway?
I go to the bar. Quiet, yeah. We all just go for a drink. I need a drink just to kind of wind down, and then I'll get home, get the tram home, and sit in the kitchen for a bit before I think, right, I can go to sleep now, because you're fizzing away. It's all still just the adrenaline of doing live performance. You can't,
and it is brilliant. I mean, it's brilliant to have it back. I mean, this was the first time that I've been in the Royal Exchange for a long time, and you know what, I got goosebumps walking in there. It is, not only is it like an amazing theatre itself, it's just the productions are always great, and yours was definitely top notch, I have to say, on loads of levels. So thank you for delivering that and making me feel like that 18-year-old watching kind of like that theatre studies and analysing it, but going, hey, this one is really cool. So yeah, you're on until the 2nd of April at the Royal Exchange. So plenty of time for people to come and see it. Have a great run. And we'll see you again soon. Great to chat there to Will and Jodie in Nora, A Doll's House. It's a brilliant production. So great if you do get to see that at the Royal Exchange. And as I said there, the Exchange is a fantastic theatre. So every time you go there, it is a real experience. Now, still to come on Live in the Hive, I'm going to be chatting to Toby Olie. He's going to be telling me all about Animal Farm coming to the Lowry next week. And if you're a big fan of Peaky Blinders and the Rambert Dance Company, make sure you watch until the end because we have got a fantastic performance just for you. Now let's take a look at what's going on in the world of theatre across Greater Manchester this week. Greater Manchester Theatre News has got lots of announcements with castings. Now these guys are super happy, and you would be if you know that after a 5-year casting search and multiple auditions across the UK, these 3 sets of talented twins have been cast in Identical, the new musical based on the Parent Trap novel. And you might remember the film from Disney. 1961 it starred Hayley Mills, and in 1998 it starred Lindsay Lohan. Now it's coming to the stage directed by Tony and Olivier award-winning director Sir Trevor Nunn, and these twins, yes, they have bagged the role of Lottie and Lisa, the sets of twins separated by birth who 10 years later meet up at summer camp and swap roles to try and get their parents back together. So congratulations to the twins from Northern Ireland, Waltham Abbey and Bromley. They're going to be coming to the Lowry from the 19th of August to the 3rd of September with Identical. That's going to be great for the summer holidays. Something else which is exciting this week, the announcement of the cast of Passion, which is on at Hope Mill Theatre from the 5th of May to the 5th of June. It's Stephen Sondheim's multi-award winning show. Unfortunately, we had Stephen Sondheim leave us last year. He was a great talent. His music is just so iconic and beautiful. This production stars Ruthie Henshaw, who you can see there. She is going to be playing the role of Fosca, and on the right playing the love interest Giorgio, we've got Dean John Wilson. So that is definitely going to be a production worth looking out for. But something that's coming just around the corner is, of course, Animal Farm, which is on at the Lowry next week. I got the chance to speak to the guy behind the puppets, puppeteer designer and director Toby Olie, and I couldn't not start the chat by asking what it's like to see your puppets come to life on stage.
It's been really exciting. And I mean, you spend 8+ months designing and talking about and theorizing these characters and constructing them with a team of amazing makers over the last year. And then you work with a group of actors and you start to animate them and you think, yeah, okay, we're telling this story. We've got the kind of building blocks in place. But you never really know what people are going to make of it until you've got an audience of however many hundred, in front of it. And it was so exciting. I can remember our first preview we did when we opened it, hearing people's reactions to even the small little things, little ruffles of chickens' feathers in the crowds when they get angry or annoyed. Like you just saw that they really were eating up all the little details that we'd kind of put into the show. And yeah, I'm really excited for more and more people to see it around the country and to see what people make of it.
So do you watch it then that first night? Are you there in the audience looking at how people, as you say, react?
Yeah. So kind of as the puppet director, I kind of in rehearsals work with the puppeteers and kind of train them up in the use of the puppets and think a lot about the staging and the kind of blocking of how it works. Because we have a sort of number of sequences in the show that have no text in them at all. So sort of fights and when the animals collect the harvest, loads of things where we have, no dialogue and just kind of puppet action. And so, from the first preview up until opening night, I there watched the show, noting it, reworking things in the daytime, and then I'm going to watch the show a number of times on tour to check in, and see that all the animals are behaving.
I love that, the animals behaving, because Animal Farm is such a classic novel, the George Orwell novel, and like you said, 30 odd puppets there. You've got like pig, you've got horse, you've got ducks, you've got birds, everything like that. I've got to say, from seeing the pictures already, I'm loving Napoleon the pig.
Yeah, I think he might be my favorite as well. I think just because he's massive, he's so huge. When we were building him, I was like, I know I want him to be the biggest one, and we know we're obviously keeping the weight of all these puppets down, so our puppeteers aren't injuring themselves just by operating them. And when he came together, I was like, he is a hippo. He is a hippo pig. He's really big, but Ben and Michael, who operate him, straight away found this sort of fluidity in the puppet that I hoped we could find. But when we put him together and he's so chunky, I thought, are we going to find a sort of ripple as he walks? Are we going to find this? But they've just brought it to a whole other level. And at the same time, when you can find that fluidity, then you can really play with making him feel heavier and, you know, giving him a real kind of like dinosaur sort of prowl to him, because we want, as the pigs get more in control and more kind of grotesque of the farm, we want them to feel really sort of other and not naturalistic sometimes. And so it's been really great working with all the puppeteers on the pigs to find their own sort of individual quirks within them, because we have four central pig characters.
Do they have their own tour bus when you're going around the country, all these puppets? Because how do you get them all transported?
I know, a lot of crates, a lot of lorries. They I wish they had a sort of tour bus with kind of plush travel. No, it's quite unglamorous life touring, I think, being a puppet. I think you just get boxed up and put in a van, but it's a big old van, that's for sure.
What a shame. Now I feel weird calling them puppets, because I've seen your work in the past. It is truly amazing. You forget when they're on stage that they are puppets. They come alive. They really, really do. You know, the people that are controlling them, you know, just the detail in those puppets are incredible. It's amazing. I saw you like do Running Wild. I saw your Aslan in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. What's the process like then? You know, when you get given a brief, where do you start?
I mean, that's sort of what's so exciting. What I love about my job the most is that every puppet is bespoke and different. Like when someone says, you know, we're doing Animal Farm, I don't go, oh yeah, that's how I make a pig, or that's how I make a horse, or that's how I make. You kind of, every show is so different because the action of the puppet is different, because the number of puppeteers you have is different. It's a very, very different process every single time. And I suppose I start normally by thinking about how many hands you have free to operate the character itself. And on Animal Farm, we knew our cast was 14 performers. So straight away, that made me think, okay, well, we can't have a person on the head, front legs and back legs of every animal, because we'll run out of puppeteers for characters. And so very quickly that makes me go, right, so all the four-legged animals that aren't huge, like Boxer the horse, they're all going to have a puppeteer on the head and on the body, and one puppeteer is going to be the back legs with their legs and then operate the front legs with their arms. I love the fact you said they're not puppets. Someone else has always said that to me, like puppet's a sort of dirty word.
I think so. And what was really interesting there, because one of my questions I was going to ask you, and I think you've kind of answered it, is do you wait until you know who's going to be the voices of the puppets? Because you've got people like Juliet Stevenson, haven't you, voicing these characters in Animal Farm. And you know, I'm kind of going back because, you know, forgive me, it sounds like I'm terrible, I'm such a heathen.
Go on.
You know, like if you're watching Disney or Pixar, you kind of see some of the element of the actor that they've cast in it. So with the puppets, when you're designing them, do you know that person beforehand, or do they work around you?
I'm with you. Yeah. So I think when Rob and I first met a couple of years ago to talk about the concept, he said, oh, you know, we should talk about how they talk. You know, how do we do that? How do we have amazing, detailed voice acting, you know, voices for the animals that means they can feel all different ages and at the same time have amazing, detailed, accomplished puppeteers, and neither one of us have to sort of sacrifice one for the other. So we did a lot of our sort of research and development workshops to try the ideas for how the puppets could talk, and how much talking physically they would do. Like, would they move their mouths with every word, or would they move their heads and be more kind of abstract? And so we tried loads of different things, and Rob throughout it would always say, oh, I imagine this animal being this actor or this kind of voice. And so we sort of started rehearsals with a sort of initial version of the show with sort of four or five voice actors who had that we were working with. And then throughout rehearsals, as we sort of staged things and kind of worked around things and put the script on its feet, Rob was amazingly collaborative and sort of said, well, look, we have to then change this scene, or we have to shift this, because actually what the puppet does best, or what rhythmically we're doing, is this, and actually the voice acting doesn't reflect that. So it was really brilliantly back and forth in that way, in that you sort of went, the puppet action is going to dictate the sort of tempo and the rhythm of the speech, but at the same time the puppeteers themselves would then hear the voice and go, oh yeah, okay, he should be heavier at that moment, or he should be sort of, Napoleon ended up being spikier than I'd imagined. He's a sort of, I imagine him being quite a sort of heavier, quite sort of thick set sort of voice, but actually he's really pointed and kind of sort of quite Donald Trumpy at times. And actually things like that were then, yeah, exactly. And things like that were quite were really exciting. You know, partway through rehearsals, to then get a sort of little alternate kind of spin on your character meant that we were always discovering things, which was great.
It is so fascinating. It really is. The amount of kind of work, the thought and the detail is brilliant. Now, you got into puppets at a young age. This is like 6 or 7 we were talking about.
Yeah.
What was it about puppets that kind of called to you, Toby?
It's weird. I mean, you know, I grew up watching Sesame Street every day before going to nursery, and I sort of
Favorite character? Go on.
Probably Ernie, of Ernie and Bert fame.
I like the count. 1,
yeah,
2, 1.
Yeah, 1. I think, you know, that was even then you're watching puppets and kind of humans together, you know, existing together in a world, which is sort of the world of puppets and theatre that I've ended up in. But I jokingly say that I was in my dinosaur phase, which I'm arguably still in, age 6 or 7, and there was a book in our school library that was an Usborne how-to book, how to make puppets, and on the front of it was a sort of egg box dinosaur kind of puppet. It was like a woolen sleeve over an old cardboard egg box, and I remember just going home and being like, Mum, I have to make this. Have you got an old jumper? Have we got an egg box? And it just sort of lit a trail, and I remember buying more books about how to make puppets and, you know, watching more of it on TV. And I mean, even going through school, I sort of felt like it was the meeting point between drama and acting and art and design, because you kind of are combining those two disciplines right in the middle. And when people would say, what do you want to do, you know, do you want to be an actor, do you want to be an artist, and it was like, I kind of want to do the thing that's in the middle, if possible. And yeah, amazingly, I you know, had very supportive teachers and very supportive family who encouraged my very weird niche career choice. And then I studied puppetry at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama. Wow. Which is a course that's temporarily kind of on hiatus, which I'm desperate to get back up and running again. Yeah, it was great. It was a really exciting, you know, 3 years getting to collaborate with other artists and other disciplines, and sort of, yeah, get used to find a sort of theatre making process with puppetry.
Absolutely. I feel like I need you for my own kids, so I can kind of like be the best mum in the world and pick up a few tips from you, Toby.
Yeah, book day costumes, you know, elevate them to a whole new level.
You must be the best person to call upon on that one.
Definitely get called up for favours quite often for that.
You've also been on blooming Blue Peter, haven't you?
Yeah. I got myself a silver Blue Peter badge. Yeah. I got, well, you know, given that I started my career, you know, my 6-year-old career making things on Blue Peter, like the Thunderbirds, Tracy Island and all of that, I made that, you know, 2 or 3 times. Yeah, a couple of times. And I remember them making, it was good. I think the first one I got really impatient and then didn't like it, so then kind of ditched it and tried it again. I think that, I mean, I still do that now. I'm still relatively obsessed.
That is like legendary, though, isn't it?
But I got to go on and say, here's one I made earlier, and, you know, taught everybody how to make a sort of milk bottle kind of wizard puppet. Yeah, it was really good.
That is a moment. Have you used your silver badge anywhere? Because it gets you in so many places, one of those.
I know I haven't. I'm sort of really scared to wear it in case it falls off, and then I have to awkwardly write them a letter for another one.
When you're in Salford, just pass it to me. I'll borrow it.
Yeah, you can hit up every museum in a 100-meter radius.
Well, you can't blame me for trying, can you? I mean, that's probably the only chance I'm going to get to bag myself a Blue Peter badge. And can you believe it? He got himself a badge and he attempted Tracy Island. Unbelievable. So talented, Toby Olie. That is going to be some spectacle to see at the Lowry Animal Farm. So head down there next week if you can. And talking of next week, well, we've got some more great guests on Live in the Hive. So you know where to be on Sunday at 8. Join us on the I Love Manchester Facebook page or our Facebook page. And if you're wanting to know what is going on across Greater Manchester, then head to the I Love Manchester website. It's got all you need to know about where to drink, where to eat, and even more theatre news. And do spread the word about Live in the Hive. We're on socials, we're on Twitter and Instagram. Give us a follow, you know you want to. We're at Live in the Hive 21. As I say, I will see you next week for more fun in the Hive, but I'm going to leave you for now with a brilliant trailer. I was blown away by this, and I'm sure you will be too. It's a Rambert dance company. They are doing their latest production, Peaky Blinders, the Redemption of Thomas Shelby, and it looks fantastic. I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.
You young men of the Tunneling Brigade, you are all dead. Not counted among the dead, but dead inside.
Take a little walk to the edge of town and go across the track, where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it ships and cracks, where secrets lie in the border fires and the humming wires. Yeah, man, you know you're never coming back. Past the square, past the bridge, past the mills, past the stacks. On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man in a dusty black coat with a red right hand. Wrap you in his arms, tell you that you've been a good boy. He'll rekindle all the dreams that took you a lifetime to destroy. He'll reach deep into the hole, heal your shrinking soul, but there won't be a single thing that you can do. He's a god, he's a man, he's a ghost, he's a guru. They're whispering his name through this disappearing land, but hidden in his coat is a red right hand. His shadow is cast wherever he stands, stacks of green paper in his red right hand.